put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one drink that we rule them all. Hope you'd remember your thoughts. Get your Uru feathers and your Middle guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword plus one. Usually when still it will get you to come. To the pit tank. To the pit tank. The Rocky Mountain pit tank.
Hi, I'm Guy, and I'm Guy, and I'm Guy, and this is Geek Tank, your There's Only One of Us sized podcast. Tonight, nobody else is here but me, so I'm unattended. I'm the one that's not attended. Nobody's watching. I can do anything I want. I can push buttons. I can click on things. Nobody will stop me. I'm unstoppable. Hey, Brent, how you doing tonight? Kind of poking around, and so Troy wasn't feeling well. That's cool. But then Alex said, I'll be late. So I was like, okay. So then I was like, I'm going to have to start this myself, aren't I? Let's see what we got in the news today. Of course, news that interests only me. All right. So it looks like the Odysseus lander tipped over on its side when it landed on the moon. And so it looks like Intuitive Machines is going to, oh, hey, PC Model Railroad stuff's cool. Intuitive Machines, which is the company that built the Odysseus lander, is going to it's going to only continue communicating with it through tomorrow, at which time they're going to have to just abandon it. So that's kind of sad. Looks like we've got Crew 8 is already being prepared for SpaceX, and the Dragon module is already connected up to the Falcon 9 rocket that'll be taking it up there, which is cool. So that's a good thing to see. Always great to see things like when we have rockets going up like that. China is planning 100 launches and a moon sample return mission for this year. Although their Chang'e Long March rocket is a pretty solid rocket, but it's still completely destroyed. It's really remarkably difficult to land on the moon. It is. The moon is significantly far enough away to cause signal delay, not far enough away that it's dramatic, but the signal delay is enough that you can't really use the cameras to see where you're going on the moon and then make an emergency. Oh no, we've got to move over and do this. So we kind of have a problem with that. I mean, it's not there's a lot of things that has happened in some way or another. For example, it's very, very difficult to land on Mars. We have almost a 50% success rate. I think it's a little above 50%, but still. And so the whole thing is quite a bit of a problem. So China wants to plan a national record of 100 orbital launches in 2024. They plan 70 launches to send more than 290 spacecraft into orbit. The remaining launches will be performed by China's growing commercial launch sector. So that's their plans, their battle plans. Let's see what they've got going on here. So we've got a lot of things going on. The crewed lunar landing they want to do before 2030. and they want a moon base in the 2030s. So, oh yeah, the Mars chopper went farther than it meant to go, or than it was designed to go, I should say. So, it's pretty good to see that. I'm always glad to hear that. So, let's see here. Japan has a moon lander in its stages. So, Japan's slim moon lander was imaged by its little rover before it died, because, of course, Japan's lander landed upside down. So, it landed nose down on the moon. So, that was pretty rough. Once it goes into lunar night, they don't expect that lander is going to continue to operate. So there's that. So smart lander for investigating the moon, or SLIM. It was established on. They had contact with it Sunday. JAXA was trying to contact it and reached out to it and got it on Sunday. So that was kind of cool. But once it goes into the nighttime, which for the moon is half the month, so once it does that, it won't be able to survive. It relies heavily on its batteries to keep it alive during the lunar night, and that's not good. It's not going to handle it because it doesn't have the ability to recharge its batteries. So, yep. So that's 14 days. 14 days and 14 nights. I mean, 14 days of night. 14 nights of day. All right. There you go. That's space news. Kind of the highlights on the space news. I know that Alex had something he wanted to talk about, but I don't know what that something is. So I'm kind of thinking if I don't see Alex here pretty soon, I can only really talk about space stuff for so long. However, Brent, just so you know, it's been really, really busy. I've had a lot of things going on. So this is the reason why you have not been hearing from me. And I haven't been broadcasting at night like usual, or during the day for that matter. But it should be evening out now. It's just that I had to pinch hit for another teacher. And as long as I was pinch hitting for another teacher, it was going to be difficult for me to. I was getting up at 6 a.m. for every day. And I have a second job. But that job doesn't start until late March. So, but I will also have a second job coming up soon too. Both of them are teaching jobs, so that's at least a plus. So that's a good thing. I'm enjoying school. I'm having a great time. Things are going well. Future's so bright, I have to wear shades. It is for everybody, including you, Brent, if you want to take the course. However, it is kind of useful because I know how to make a comic book go to print. I've done it already. So, yeah, we've got a couple of things. Tomorrow night, I'll probably be able to broadcast like normal. And then Wednesday morning, I should be able to broadcast. But then a buddy of mine from high school is coming through town on Wednesday night. So I probably ought to hang out with her because that's probably a smart move. Sorry, I have to go broadcast, I know you traveled all the way here from somewhere else, but I've got to go to my broadcast, Probably won't land well. And then, of course, Thursday's Thursday. Oh, yeah. That's not bad. Not bad at all. So That's the plan. That's the battle plan. Thursday, then, of course, is another work day, but Thursday night I should broadcast just like normal. And at the moment, it looks like my broadcast is nominal for Friday morning as well. I'm just going to double check to make sure before I say that. Yeah, it looks like I've got a normal broadcasting time. We have to work on Drive Safe's animations. So I already said that there were things tied up so badly that it's like, can I do that on Wednesday? And the boss said, yeah, you can do that Wednesday. We just have to do some cutting up of the videos and speeding them up. The animations are fine themselves, but they need to be saved as animated GIFs, and they need to be sped up a little bit, because once I actually put them in the classroom environment, I ended up going, so you can see here that here's what happens. We have to waiting a little bit more. Okay, then the next thing happens. So I was noticing it was just a little too slow. When I'm explaining what's going on, it's kind of like, well, that's complicated. So that's cool. So going back to Florida for a week. That's what you're doing out there, huh? That's all right. That's all right. So kind of running out of Steam here. So kind of thinking maybe I should load Steam. I got this last time they were selling Age of Empires 2. That's one of my favorite games from a million years ago. And so I bought it because it was $9. And I was like, well, I probably ought to have that, shouldn't I? So what is this? What are you downloading? Oh, we're updating something. I don't know what we're updating. What are we updating? Why does Steam do these things for me? Okay, Kerbal is updating. That makes sense. And then I just got this new one, wherever it went. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? It's over here. Oh, Age of Empires. Definitive. All right. So we're looking at the definitive edition of Age of Empires. Okay, so here's my question. I ran Age of Empires a million years ago. And it was a great game and everything like that. But now it's 10 gigs. When I was running Age of Empires, I had 500 megs and thought that was an insane amount of space. And now AOE takes up 10 gigabytes. What did they do? Oh, yeah, Brent, if I had known, I would have likely done exactly that. Just saying. And it looks like I am running rapidly out of space, though. Oh, so interestingly, there was a game that they created that I found, which is called the Orville Interactive Fan Experience. And it is actually remarkably entertaining for an interactive fan experience. So, as part of the reference of Geek Tank, I will run it right now for you guys so we can see what the Orville fan experience is like. Hey, Alex is here. Hey, Alex, you're here.
Hello, I'm
Saved
here.
me. I was about to start a game because I was like, nobody's here but me. I've already told all the news about space.
Hear that, Brent? You don't count. Guys,
Well,
mean.
Brent actually was saying he would have joined if I had given him warning. And of course, the truth of the matter is, I didn't know that nobody was going to be here until about 4 minutes before the show. So But I did get to start the show in a great way because I'm like, "Hi, I'm Guy, and I'm Guy, and I'm Guy, and this is Geek." That was
Right.
entertainment. At least that was funny. So, I've been left
Cool.
unattended, but now Alex is here, so I'm attended.
Yep. Yeah. Then I'm sorry about that. The last few minutes I've had to go grab my phone and tether it in because I'm having the intermittent internet problem, connectivity problem again. I will
Huh.
continue to have this problem until it becomes so expensive for them to keep on sending out technicians to actually fix the line between my
Right.
house and their box. So,
Are you on fiber?
I'm not on the fiber. I'm not on like direct fiber. I don't think I'm on fiber. I'm not. I don't think they put it to my neighborhood yet. And if they have, then I kind of missed that boat. But no, it's just like the connection between their box and my house has been shitty for years, but not shitty enough for them to fix it.
Right.
So yeah. And then before that, I was my family and I have been playing Diablo 3 on the PS4 couch co-op for the last couple weeks, and so we were in the middle of a quest that was taking longer than I expected. So
That's fair.
yeah, it was a good time. Nova's learning to navigate her way around a controller. Actually, it's one of the things I will kind of like brought up with Troy at the end post episode last week that Lauren and I, my wife with MS, she and I played through Diablo 2 several times, computer and mouse or
Mhm.
keyboard and mouse, and she just can't do that as well as she used to. And so, uh, when I was talking to Nova about maybe playing Diablo, and she was pretty excited because she's seen me play it a lot. Lauren's like, "Oh, get me a controller, and I'll see if I can do it." And so I got another controller, and we've been playing together, and it's cool.
Yeah.
She, a little bit of accessibility there. So
Nice. That's cool.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting to me what we consider the family things, the things we do as a family. I mean, like I've been recently kind of returning to let's all watch movies together. Let's all watch TV together, which is what I did when I growing up with both my mom and my dad. Even when they were divorced and in two different locations, that was kind of part of the family ritual, and especially on Friday nights, we would, go to Blockbuster, rent a movie, and then get some pizza, and then come back to the house and eat the pizza and watch the movie, and that was kind of a fun thing to do. And I'm trying to return kind of to that with my kid, trying to kind of get into that frame.
Yeah.
And it's working surprisingly well. But the world's a little different now. So we're watching, TV series instead of watching a movie. You watch like 2 or 3 episodes of a TV series, and then we'll move on to the next 2 or 3 episodes in a week or whatever.
Yeah, it's just some quality time.
Yeah.
And spent with each other. Yeah. And then, yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And then,
I like the fact that you're spending quality time with your kids, but it's gaming, which is still interesting and combined.
Mhm.
And I really like that too.
Yep.
For me, weirdly, gaming always reminds me of my sister because that was what we did when we had the Atari and stuff. Mom didn't care for that at all, and dad loved Frogger, and that was about it. And it was mostly because of the squishy noise that made him laugh ridiculously, and so Frogger was his thing.
The one video game that my mother loved, and she loved it as an arcade stand-up, and she loved it on the Atari 7800 because the 7800 version had like arcade perfect versions of games. Centipede.
Oh, Centipede, yeah.
We bought a trackball just for her to play
Nice.
Centipede at home.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's it's just a way for us to spend some time together and have a good time and kill monsters and like sometimes we have been we've been doing a little bit more together than we have in the past, which is good. Sometimes crafting, sometimes watching a show, sometimes gaming these days. But yeah, no, it's a good time. And I know this is so out of character. I am wearing all black from head to toe.
Yes.
Um,
Please don't go walking
Johnny
down the street.
Johnny Cash's birthday's today.
Oh, there you go.
So
Well, I'll raise a glass to Johnny Cash, Man in Black,
raise a glass.
even though he's not around.
hmm
His
Coincidentally,
memory.
I'm also finishing off a biography about Johnny Cash. It's really, really good.
Nice.
And speaking about Johnny Cash and family, I remember Lauren was telling me how she had been visiting with her family, her mom and her aunts and stuff, and like they would reminisce about how much their father, who passed away quite young, like in the late 50s, maybe the early 60s, he had passed away, but he was a big Johnny Cash fan, and like, oh, this song and that song and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, Man in Black. And Lauren's like, yeah, that's what they call him. I was like, no, Man in Black, the song. And her family and her, by virtue of it, never listened to the song. Like her mom and her aunts and stuff probably knew about the song, but they never played it or reminisced about it. I'm like, that's his theme song.
Right?
Yeah, like I'm gonna get a copy of it right now. Like I think I walked down to to Wax Tracks and bought a CD with it on it or something. I'm like, no, 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 no. You need to hear this song. um, so good.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I just suddenly had a thought process run through my brain. It is interesting that one of the astronauts, and I cannot remember who, was all about taking all of his Johnny Cash albums with him up into orbit. Like, because it was the early 70s, like right at 70, 71 or 72. So he was trying to think of a way to get his cassette tapes up there, because the cassette tapes were absolutely brand new sort of technology.
Yeah. Hurt's amazing. His cover of Hurt,
Yeah.
on like one of the
oddly,
last
when
things he
you
did.
said Man in Black, that was the song that was going through my head. It's the only Nine Inch Nails song I know, and it's because of Johnny Cash, because I hate Trent Reznor.
It's all good.
Well, he makes me, all of his music makes me edgy and uncomfortable and ultimately irritated. And I think that's kind of where he's going with it. But for some reason, it just, all it does is unnerve me,
Yeah. He's going and much of his stuff under Nine Inch Nails or as Nine Inch Nails, he's going for a particular vibe.
Yeah.
That Trent Reznor does a lot of movie soundtracks now, though, right?
Oh yeah, I don't have any problem with his movie soundtrack stuff. Just the stuff with Nine Inch Nails is the stuff that it's something about his vibe that he's going with. It sets me on edge. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel like I should be, prepared to be attacked or something. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
When you're in on a dark street in the middle of downtown Denver, walking along at night, and you're worried because this is probably not going to be a good thing. That kind of feeling always makes you feel like that. So it's a personal thing. I mean, I don't have any problem. He's a great artist. He does good stuff. I have a lot of respect for Nine Inch Nails. Removed from it, I just can't listen to it. It's just
cool.
But Cash's version of it allows me to actually have access to that song, which is interesting. Because Johnny Cash's version of it is like Johnny Cash.
Right.
So.
Yeah, on the same album, I believe. If it's not the same album, it's on another one of the American albums. And because that's off American 4. Or Hurt is off American 4. He does a cover of the Beatles tune "In My Life." And like, don't get me wrong, I like the Beatles, but especially their like album recording of that, it sounds like they're 12.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, there are places you remember. What was that, Halloween? Shut the fuck up. I know they were older than that, obviously, but it's like just something about it. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then Johnny Cash's version, he brings his age and his gravitas to
Gravitas.
it, and love it,
Yeah.
love it.
I wouldn't mind hearing that. I'll go hunt that down.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's funny. I'm not a real country fan, but there are certain country songs that I really like.
Mhm.
And I don't have a problem with country music. My grandparents were really big on country music. It's one of the reasons why I know all of Johnny Cash's songs.
Mhm.
It's because they were listening to Johnny Cash.
Yeah, he
Um,
was ostensibly a country artist, but like when you actually look at what he was doing, he was quite avant-garde.
oh yeah.
He was
Well,
branching into rockabilly and rock and roll and many other things.
right. And it's interesting to that point because there's a few of them that are like that. Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, they cross the line a lot.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like they're not hardcore country artists. There's a bunch of country artists out there that I can tell within seconds that it's a country song, but then
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know who this person is.
Mhm.
My sister's into country, so she'll play songs and I'll be like, this is a cool song, but I don't know who this person is.
Mhm.
And so when I was younger, I had a typical young person bias against country, right? But now that I'm older, I'm like, meh, it's fine. You know,
Sorry, I gotta find this
I'm
picture.
liking your phrase, "Don't yuck my yum," sort of thing. That's a phrase I'm certainly trying to live by. Don't yuck other people's yum.
Mhm.
Because there's no reason to. It's okay. You
So
can,
I don't have my guitar down here, but
right, right.
that famous picture of Johnny Cash.
Yes,
but
it works. It works. It works.
uh,
So, uh,
yeah, I personally I like as a friend of mine says, I'm totally going to crib this from her. I'm polyamorous,
mm-hmm.
and so like
Polyamorous.
I recognize stuff that's good and appreciate it, but I'm still very particular because it's still me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like a lot of. I I call it often call it pop country, pop rap.
Right.
But that's not even correct. It's just vacuous country, vacuous rap, vacuous anything I'm not really into. I want something that has something to say.
Yeah.
Um, and so like Johnny Cash is right up my alley, or people like when it comes to hip hop and rap, like Public Enemy or J5, I really enjoy, or Charlie Tuna is the head of J5, or like say even Eminem in his more recent years has got some really interesting stuff out there.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I like polyamorous. The biggest problem I have is I think my feeling toward music is similar to my taste with food, as in I feel like there are certain sounds in music that I can't deal with it. And so there are songs and noises and things like that that make it so I just can't listen to this. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. It's not bad, but it's making the hair on the back of my neck stand up, and I don't
Hmm.
like that, and I don't like the feeling that I'm getting from it and stuff like that. So but it's the same thing as you. There are songs all over the place that go into different genre. But sadly, the twangy guitar typically is one of those sounds that I just have a problem with.
A sound that I hate. I know we have to do sponsors, but a sound that I hate wherever I encounter it is like that. You find it in a lot of hip hop and rap from like the late 80s,
Mhm.
or even like throwback stuff. And you also hear it like just in particular like I Want to Be Your Dog by Iggy Pop and the Stooges. The song's amazing, but there's this
Oh,
me, and I'm like, what the fuck are you thinking, Iggy?
right,
Get off the fucking crank. What the hell? Because like your song is amazing, except for that.
right,
Like,
right.
Like I almost want to like record my own version without it. I mean, I'm sure other people have, but even like Joan Jett's cover of "I Want to Be Your Dog" has got it. I'm like, Joan, what are you doing?
Right? Because Joan Jett is Joan Jett. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, real quickly, we also should talk about the fact that Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, the Massage Wizard, and your mom. That's right. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, I like our sponsors. They're good people. They really
Cool.
actually are. It's kind of fun.
Cool.
We're very fond of those folks. Yeah, so Brent's saying that he's got a wide variety of music tastes. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, recently been getting into things like High Lung.
Yeah.
It's
I haven't
interesting.
heard them yet. Cool.
I haven't either.
Maybe.
Of course, I'm now heavy into K-pop, which I got into through J-pop, which is always somewhat stunning to my kids because they'll be like, "So what kind of music do you listen to?" And I'm like, "You won't believe me if I tell you." And they're like, "No, tell us. We believe you." And I'm like, "K-pop." And they're like, "No,
We
you're
don't
not."
believe you.
And then they gatekeep. It's so
Oh,
funny.
fucking
They're like,
A. Gatekeepers.
well, I mean, like it's so funny because then
I know,
they'll be
right? They're
like,
like,
"Well,
you're not
yeah,
really
well,
listening
what's your
to
favorite
K-pop.
group?"
Like, here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of K-pop, but I love Psy.
Right?
I've listened to a bunch of his stuff, and I like what he has to say much of the time. And actually like just the very fact of him being him in the K-pop space. I'm like, fuck yes,
Yeah, I mean, that's really great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Huh,
yeah. And like he
I'm
fucking like sings songs
currently
about having like an alcohol abuse problem and shit. I'm like, you go, boy.
right. That's the same kind of thing that I'm picking up from some of the groups that I'm listening to, of course. I mean, that's my favorite group right now is La Seraphim, which is very much women power. That's their thing. And in Korean culture, that's a statement,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So, and of course, that's like I said, if there was ever a flag, a hill I'm going to die on, that's the hill I die on,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Like
I'm
I
all
love
about this
Psy.
group.
That
So,
that Baldwin dude, and he's older in this like field of like young people that are always being cycled in and out and chewed up by the industry. And but his breakout hit was off as like his third or fourth album,
right?
and he was
Everybody
like,
knows it.
and he's this big fat, he's like this little fat dude, and he's like, I love that, like, you go, boy. I
Yeah,
love it. I love what you're doing there.
it's absolutely awesome. And I mean, and some of the stuff that he sings, I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of not, but it doesn't
My
matter. I agree with you. He's
my
just
favorite
what?
song is probably, I mean, it's one of his bigger ones because I'm not a huge Psy fan, but it's I Got It From My Daddy,
Oh yeah,
and it's like his response song to like Beyonce's I Got It From My Mama. I'm like, fucking A.
he's pretty cool. He is.
He's
I'm
cool.
not going to begrudge you
I'd
that.
love to hang out with Psy.
Yeah, he definitely seems like our kind of people,
Yeah.
like that kind of person who's just a little bit,
Yeah. He did a crossover mashup at some award ceremony with freaking MC Hammer. It's amazing.
awesome.
It's amazing.
That is so cool. Yeah, that's a
But
thing.
yeah, like almost 20 years ago, I'm working at the hellhole before it was really a hellhole for me. Um, and I'm in the cube farm, and I'm in a cube. I'm in an office with cubes, not a cube farm, but I'm sharing one cube wall with my supervisor and another cube farm with friend of the show, BDan. And I'm listening to Christina Aguilera,
Yeah.
and my supervisor, she goes, "Are you listening to the new Christina Aguilera over there?" I go, "Yeah." And B Dan is like, "No way." And I'm like, "That's right, Dan. I own 1,000 albums and they're all KMFDM."
Right? Yeah, I'm actually trying to look up like specifically something I wanted to, but Spotify crashed out and I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Why would you
And
crash?
and some other news. So next week, just so you're prepared, one of the things that Troy and I were going to talk about before he was like, I feel kind of sick. I'm going to go to bed.
I'm gonna die.
Rest is best. Was that we wanted to discuss Tarantino because Tarantino is rumored to be filming his 10th or in production or pre-production for his 10th and final film. So just to put that
And
bug in your
knowing
ear to think about
Tarantino,
it for next
he
year.
will
For
hold
next
that
week.
one to the day he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, it's what he does.
Yeah. So I mean, just I know that you're not a huge Tarantino file, but just so that way you can
No,
like
it's
have
fine.
some thoughts and opinions.
Right?
And then yeah, so I'm all fingernail painted. I haven't painted my fingernails in literally since I was a child because my child and I we missed our last belt test because she had COVID.
Oh, that's right.
And so Sensei was like, "Hey, you want to do a makeup belt test this Friday at 3:45?" I'm like, "Hi, Sensei!"
Right.
And we did it. And the rest of the group, when they the night before belt test, they all went over and had a fingernail painting, a toenail painting party.
Aw.
And so, in solidarity, like our fingernail polish is more of a iridescent purple green. We're purple belt, which is more Mardi Gras colors. But we are now officially part of, as we call it, the Purple Rain.
Nice.
Um, previously known as the Green Belt Gang, previously known as the Orange Belt Nation. Um, I've already started planting the seeds for next belt in 6 months to be the Blue Belt group.
That makes sense.
And
You have to start like
yep, I actually showed Nova some Blue Man group videos. Pretty entertaining.
those guys are great.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff that they do is just so freaking weird. I love
Yeah.
it.
We saw them live before Nova was born. So we're like in the mid to late aughts in Vegas. Phenomenal.
Nice.
Not. I mean, definitely a fantastic, phenomenal show.
Yeah.
And then like the one thing that I really loved about the show was from their opening piece, and they had backlit performer. So Big Shadow and Big Circle with all the stuff going on and all the different places, but he was just doing the giant bass drum, boom, boom, boom. But the way that it was displayed, it was like you were in the drum
Mm,
and he's banging on the top of it or on
nice.
the striking surface. And it's like, I appreciate this.
Right.
This was like people talk about Vegas shows and stuff like I never really knew what they meant till I went and saw Blue Man Group. So that was really cool.
It is interesting that there is sort of a I don't know what I want to say, but like it's the word's coming to my brain is a stereotype. That's not what I'm trying to say. A process of thinking that people have about Vegas shows. You know what I mean? Like I can't think of the word. A stereotype about Vegas shows, whatever you call shows, because stereotypes are about people. The
an
associate word.
expectation.
I'm sorry?
An expectation.
Yeah. Maybe not an expectation so much as a like, oh, that sucks. You're stuck in Vegas. You guys have oh, that's the end of your career sort of thing. But then, like all of the people that we absolutely adore, Penn and Teller, the Blue Man Group, these guys are all performing there routinely. And that's not the end of their career. Clearly, they actually want to go back there. They
Yeah,
actually want to return.
we've seen Penn and Teller a couple times. Enjoyed the hell out of them.
Yeah.
I think as far as an artist perspective, and especially with something as how to say specialized in their kind of instrumentation, props, etc. I can see where having this is our theater. We
Mhm.
know exactly where everything is and where everything goes. I can see the attraction in that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
instead of having to haul everything around and tour and try to figure out, what's the acoustics in this place, or how's the soundboard going to mesh up with our gear in this other place. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Exactly.
Brian.
Brent's right. It'll
You
just
know,
consistent. It's a consistency.
Mhm.
I,
Reading about Johnny Cash's life, a lot of his drug problems came about because of
touring.
touring
Yeah.
constantly. I need to like I just finished a show. I need to be 300 miles away tomorrow.
And
Time to pop some
probably also
pills.
not feeling terribly supported, not feeling, I mean, like you're far from your family, you're far from your friends. I think about just little things like our routine Saturday night D&D game. When it's disrupted for 2 or 3 weeks, I start going, do you guys still like me? Are you still out there?
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, not really, but
Hmm.
I start feeling distant from you guys. And, as I have been saying, I got a second job today, by the way. I'm now working at
What?
the Arvada
Share.
Center.
You must share
So,
with us.
yeah, well, I will be. I'm working at the Arvada Center teaching classes there. So now I've got two jobs, but it also means that I'm going to even have less free time. And so now Saturday nights are going to become even more valuable to me, because it's the only time that I'll be able to be with you guys and be with my buddies. Um, so, it's one of those things. It's kind of like that can wear on somebody a lot. And that's a big hit to take, you know?
Yeah.
So I appreciate his situation in that instance. And I think our culture needs to kind of shift a little bit and understand a little bit more about drugs and alcohol. It seems to be, you know, oh, it's either you're weak or you're an idiot or instead of going, well, what's wrong with you? What's going on?
Yeah.
What part of your life is broken?
Yeah.
You know?
Anything can become an avenue for self-medication.
Right?
Anything that gives comfort and dopamine and such. And
I
let's
overeat.
yeah, let's start digging into some deep topics. Yeah, it's like, and it's the kind of thing
Right?
where,
It's 15 minutes till the end of show, so now is the time when we really hit our stride.
right? But no, it's yeah, it's true. People can get addicted to pretty much anything,
Yeah.
and it's like it's coping. I mean, and to be fair, I've been addicted to many things.
Yeah.
Um, and that, and like from the perspective I have here at coming on to 48 in a few months, now I can understand that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm getting a certain amount of perspective from what I'm doing at school, certainly. As cultural anthropology, the first thing they talk about is trying to get away from your ethnocentrism, being an American, being a white male, being all of these things that I am. You have to be able to detach yourself from that and be able to look at the situation that you're in from as much of an objective view as possible. And at the same time, which is kind of cool because, I'm sure this is exactly how the beginning of all of these sciences go. But at the same time, also acknowledge that you're a human. And, they're like, because that was the first kind of push that they did in my cultural anthropology class, which was, anthropologists in the 1930s would go and they would sit outside of the culture and write things down and watch what was going on. But then they didn't understand it until they actually got in there and was one of the members of the culture. And so the anthropologist had to join, had to become part of it. Um, I'm learning a lot about that, but in a small format, I'm learning a lot about viewing my culture, which is you guys. You're my culture, and viewing it trying to look at it a little bit more objectively, and I'm becoming a lot more forgiving about small things, little things. This irritates me. You know what? It's fine. It's not a big deal. Roll with it. And that's, I think, first of all, it's probably going to add more years to the end of my life. So, because I'll be less stressed.
Right.
But it is important, I think. You are my chosen family, and that's a big thing. I don't have to have you in my family. You don't have to have me in your family. It's a chosen thing. We've picked this, and that's a very important thing. So I'm kind of passing the ball back to you again, because I've been talking for a long time. So
cool. Yeah, and I've been drinking a bit. There's not much left here.
That's
from where I started 30 minutes ago. But extending grace.
Yeah.
Is very important. And part of it's like pick your battles. I was just like, what's really important here?
Right.
Like, is it really important for me to talk to so and so about such and such? Yeah, probably not. If it comes up a whole bunch, yeah, maybe. But if it's just someone having a bad day or a bad, season,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do the best that we can.
Exactly. Just assuming that people are doing the best that they can under their circumstances, and not doing like, trying to get away with everything that they can.
Yeah.
Under particular circumstances, that went a long way to just let that shit go.
Knowing that there is a thing called negativity bias, and knowing that we all suffer from it, and knowing that it's probably evolutionary.
Oh yeah. We talked about this on one of our walks.
Yeah.
The whole like Og thought Bush was safe. Bush had Jaguar.
Right.
I will think all bushes are unsafe.
Right.
Therefore, I will not be jaguared.
But yeah, I mean, and so we tend to, given a 50-50 choice between the positive and the negative, we tend to choose to the negative. But also, we are creatures with free will. We can choose to identify that dragon and get rid of it, slay it, And that's what I'm doing. I also tell my kids that when we're in driving school. When they're driving, I'm like, how do you deal with being angry? Because the truth of the matter is, when we get angry, we get stupid. And when you get stupid, you forget to do your over-the-shoulder checks. You forget to turn your turn signal on. You forget all of these things. And this is one of the reasons why angry usually leads to an accident somewhere along the line. So what do you do to mitigate the anger? And I was like, for me, I just go, you know what? Statistically speaking, we make an error every 10,000 hours. That was his 10,000th hour. He'll be fine from now on. You know what I mean? And that helps me. Is it true? I don't know. But I could sit there and say, gosh, he cut me off. I'm so mad. Or I can go, it's your 10,000 hour, bro. I got you covered. Good luck.
Right. I generally go with, hey, I know you're endangering yourself and others. I hope it's worth it.
Right. Yeah. The Japanese have The Japanese have a saying, "Sarumo kikara uchiru," or even monkeys fall from trees, and it's referring to those macaque monkeys that they've got over there that, get into the hot springs and then they actually put the towels on their head. They're actually very adorable. But every so often, one of them will just fall from the tree. And then he stands up, looks around like, you didn't see that, did you? Okay. And he gets back up into the tree. And the statement is, even the best of us are going to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Even the ones who are most qualified will make a mistake. Mm-hmm. I usually tell my kids that. I had an interesting experience, though, one time with the inner city version of that, or inner city. I was with an inner city class. And I said it and they all started laughing. And I was like, I don't get what you're laughing about. And there was a there was a neurodivergent in the front row, and he said, because it's a racism reference, just like bluntly. And there was like 4 or 5 people of color in that particular class. And that started them shifting uncomfortably. And I'm like, okay, that's the last time I used that saying in this class. Gotcha. But I thought that was weird because, I don't know, they must be referencing the Scopes trials or something like that. The only thing I can think of.
It's pretty common. Call people of color, especially black people in this country, monkeys.
Yeah.
But yeah, even experts make mistakes.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, I mean, like, even in my prime, I would lose fights.
Sure.
And in my prime, there was not many. I mean, I'm going to fucking put this out there. I mean, I guess there's no way to fucking disprove it. It's fucking years ago, decades ago. In my prime, I'd say there's few in the world that can fucking hold a fucking candle to me.
Probably. I would agree with that. I know because I fought you many times. Yeah. And it hurt a lot every time.
Yeah. And I would just fight. I would fight everybody.
And you were pulling your punches because I was your buddy. And you also were trying not to kill me.
Yeah. I would fight everybody and I would just fucking wreck.
Yeah.
Person after person after person.
Sure.
But even then, I'd still lose once in a while.
Sure. Well, and that's the point that I usually am trying to get,
Exactly. I know.
4 or 5 days ago, I changed lanes and did not turn my turn signal on and didn't look over my shoulder or anything. Luckily, there was no one there. But in my brain, it was like, that's an odd mistake to make. I'm very big on, I'm not telling my kids to do anything I don't do. So right now, and probably for the remainder of my life, I drive exactly the way the state of Colorado wants all of us to drive. You know what I mean? Because all the rules.
This evening, I was making a right-hand turn. I was like, the light was red. I was getting ready to make a right-hand turn. I'm thinking, gosh, Jeep, you didn't leave me any room to see who's coming.
Right.
So I start edging forward. The light turns green. Jeep goes, oh, I guess I'm good to go. Oh, there's a pedestrian there. I'm going to stop and wave my hands a whole bunch.
Right.
It's like, glad I noticed by that pedestrian and didn't fucking hit them.
Right. Yeah. We all make silly mistakes every so often.
Even experts make mistakes.
Even experts make the mistakes. Even the best of us will screw up. And what's so funny is I remember having a discussion with my mom at one point in time where I was like, oh man, for the rest of my life, I'm going to take this, that one, the phrase that my dad always said, which was everything is relative. And I will take it to my grave, remembering that. And my mom was like, well, what about my saying? And I was like, what's your saying? Because of clearly. And she goes, most of the people, most of the time are doing the very best that they can. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I'll take that one too. Thanks, Brent. I'll take that one too. Sure. But it's funny because in my head, I was like, well, that one's not as profound as Dad's. And now, as an older person, I'm more into Mom's statement than Dad's because hers is ringing more true. It's not to say that Dad's isn't, just that it's interesting that when she said it, I was like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Teenage
and
kid.
Relativity, where you stand, where you are. I actually had a really funny interaction with my mother-in-law.
Uh-huh.
My mother-in-law and I, we don't not get along.
I agree with you, Bob, by the way.
But it's one of those things where, how to say, in many ways we're quite similar.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking one day and I was like saying something about this and she's like, oh, I don't really believe it's okay to judge people from the past about our norms and mores and morals of the present. And I said to her, I just looked at her point blank and I said, it was okay to own people in this country 170 years ago. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
And she's like, ooh, and I'm like, yeah.
Till you give up trying. Agreed with you, Brent.
Right.
Bob is saying that, after surgery, he was having a hard time turning his head. I get cricks in my neck every so often. And this is all the further I can get or whatever,
Yeah.
because I just get a crick in my neck. So
Yeah.
I feel that one, Bob. I feel that one in my neck.
Be glad. Be glad that you are in a time and place where you have a vehicle that can kind of help you with that adjustment.
Yeah.
Because shit, man, 30 years ago when we were changing tires on the side of the road together at 7 o'clock in the morning, there's no way that was happening.
Yeah.
And and that actually extends to a whole bunch of other things too. I'm going to get a little bit churchy here.
Get churchy.
One of our reverends, he's no longer with our particular church. He's moved on to a different one. He actually had this great thing about Mother's Day. And some people were like, well, man, can't talk about Mother's Day and blah, 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 and talk about women's issues. And, on some extent, they're kind of right. But on other extents, depending on how far they take it, they're kind of wrong.
Right.
And what he had said was, be like if you are a mother who cannot produce, basically natural milk for your child, be happy that you live in a time and place where you can buy formula.
Right.
And try not to feel shame about that.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. It's like you can't, if you have a trouble turning your neck, yeah, by all means rely on the computer sensors on your car.
Right.
That didn't exist 10 years ago that were in a place that was affordable for us.
Right.
Like, no, these are good things. They're not,
Yeah.
It's sort of like, ancient Greeks, like, the written word's gonna kill thought, because, suddenly people have to remember everything in their memory palace. It's like, nah, it's cool. Just write the shit down. Metal pins and rods. That's fucking cool, man. You're so Rivet. I'm not that dedicated to being Rivet. I'm sorry. I'm not Rivet anymore.
I keep thinking about how we are going to be slowly becoming more bionic as our little group grows older and older.
Oh, sweet zombie Jesus, take some stem cells out of me and fucking give me new knees and new feet.
I know, right?
For the love of God. Please.
We're learning about that right now in osteology and biology. We're going through bones and all of this stuff, and I'm finding out things I never knew. I didn't know that we still had bones to fuse in our 30s, but you can tell up to about 35 how old a person is. But after 35, all of their bones have fused. So you cannot tell from 35 on, except for wear on the bones. Obviously, if the bones start to wear over time.
Yeah.
But your knees might look like a 70-year-old's, if we dug up your skeleton, because you worked really hard and you worked the knees a lot. So, her whole statement was, you can't, my professor, she was like, you can't rely on that. And, this is the first touch on forensic anthropology, which I didn't even know was a thing. But there is apparently forensic anthropologists.
Totally a thing, dude.
You call them in and they're like, yeah, yesterday I was at a dig and we were digging up Persians that were, 2,500 years old. And today I've got a murder victim that they found in a bog, that was killed like 2 years ago. And I'm here to help that one out. And she was like, if you're a biological anthropologist, that's what your job is. You move from place to place, identifying the bones. And I like, that's a fascinating career choice too. No, I haven't seen the TV show Bones, because by the time Bones came out, I was in Japan. And by the time, it's one of those things. So
it's so terribly mainstream.
I know, right?
But no, that's fucking
it
great.
did have David Berens, who's from Angel from Buffy, so that would have been a thing that I would have been at least interested in.
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Totally cool. No, it's all good. No, it's just cool shit. No, yeah, no, seriously, replace. Actually, honestly, replace my knees, my feet, my hands, and my elbows. Shoulders are still pretty good, but the right one gets a little bit of a kink in it.
Yeah,
get that one, and then you know what? Honestly, resheathe me in fresh new skin. Please.
Right. Agreed. I'll agree with that. There are a lot of things as I get older. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ecstatic about some of this stuff. You know,
I don't know if I'm really down with this aging shit.
I'm not happy with this aging stuff. So anyway, I think that's probably going to end our show, though. We've done good, though. I mean, we had no plan.
I was late.
It was just me talking about space
I-
stuff for
I-
the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I gave you a bit of a heads up for next week with the Tarantino thing.
That'll let me go and
Yeah,
look up some stuff.
Just
That'll be
think
good.
about it.
Because
Think about
there are a couple of Tarantino things that I really do like. So I can at least concentrate on those. So
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's not, his entire catalog isn't on Netflix, but I think Jackie Brown and The Hateful Eight,
mhm.
as well as the Hateful Eight Extended Edition, which I think is odd. I want to do a little bit of research before I watch it because Tarantino famously does not do director's cuts
Right.
or commentary, and I'm like, who made that decision? Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm like, Anyway,
Interesting.
but yeah, no, it's been real.
It has been real. And I will, of course, remind people who follow the show that tonight I'm not continuing on and broadcasting myself tonight. And tomorrow I won't be broadcasting, but I'll be broadcasting tomorrow night. And then Wednesday morning. So
Everything okay?
Oh yeah. For Tuesdays and Thursdays, I've got to be up at 6 a.m. to catch the train. So I'm trying to not go to bed at 1 a.m. and then get up at 6, which is sort of what's happening.
Not everybody's me. I get it.
So I'm trying not to do that.
That's I'm extending grace that way.
Right?
Yeah, it can't be as fabulous as me. It's cool. I get it.
That's your way of extending grace. I get it. It's fair. All right. I think that is actually a great place to end right there. We'll see you next week. And until then, I've been Guy.
And I've been Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.